a father to the fatherless,
and a defender of widows.
His garden, His holy dwelling.
God sets the lonely in families.
He leads out the prisoners with singing.
When I was growing up as a kid, summer was my favorite time of the year. The days are longer, it's hot, and we spent a lot of time at the lake, at the beach, at the pool. My family would take vacations then, and it was a great time to spend with friends. And as we've been going around and touring these mountain schools, the kids here just don't have the same experience in their summers and their school breaks. When a child here goes on school break, they're stuck at home in their small village all day long. They live in small bamboo huts. They're open on 3 sides. There's no kitchen, there's no stove, there's no refrigerator. They hardly have power at all. If they have any water, they're drawing it from a nearby river, and they're just surviving there. And there's nothing to do for them. And so for many of them, this is a time where their parents decide it'd be good for you to go ahead and get married. And they're really just kids themselves. They're not at an age where they can get married. And so for many of these kids, when they go home for summer break, many of them don't come back to school. So just recently, all the kids here went on break, and 9 of the students didn't come back for classes. And the teachers went out trying to find each of these 9 kids and find out what happened to them. Why didn't they come back to my class? And all 9 of them were married off as children. And they were only able to recover one of those children, Rylan, because she stood up for herself. And she said, I want to go back to school and I want to get an education and study.
When I was still in the mountains, they forced me to marry, even though I didn't want to. Sometimes they even scared me. If I didn't want to marry, they would do something bad to me.
The culture here is that once a man gives you money and you agree to it and accept it, it means you are willing to marry him. But if you don't like the man, you double that amount. If it's 100, you double it and give him back 200. Sometimes if the woman does not want the man, what the man does is give the money directly to the mother. If the parents have accepted the money, their child can no longer refuse.
I felt that I wasn't important to my parents because if I were important to them, they would respect my decision to continue my studies. It's just sad because for just 200, they will force me to marry a man I don't even like.
My mother got married at 10 years old and gave birth to me when she was 12 years old.
This is what happens in the mountains. Sometimes they force their children to marry because of money. That's why I asked my teacher for help.
We decided to really go up there to rescue that child, and we really saw the situation. When we went to the house, I really saw how her parents and relatives rejected her, how they threw away her clothes.
The family was so angry. They said, if you want her to go back to school and study, then she's yours. You have to take care of her from now on. And one of the teachers, Michelle, told me, I instantly offered to adopt her as my own daughter. And not just in a way that she could stay at my house, that I would prepare food for her and look after her, but she's actually going through the legal system to adopt her as her own child forever.
I told her, don't worry. If you have no parents to support you, I will be your parent here.
What Michelle told us is that she's not only now trying to adopt Rylan, but she's trying to adopt Rylan's siblings to protect them as well from being married off as children. And that really spoke to me, and I said, wow, what a sacrifice. And she said, this is God's call to us as missionaries. And I have 2 daughters of my own, and I think about adopting with my wife. But to be put on the spot like that, you take this child if you want her to be safe or to not be married. I just can't imagine, instantly in that moment, agreeing to adopt a child that you will look after for the rest of her life. And I think that speaks volumes of the staff here at Palmas, that they would be willing to adopt these children as their own to provide a safe place for them.
I want to indeed cut off our traditions in the mountains where women marry early. So now I am happy because Child Impact has a program for women like me.
While Ryland's story is very encouraging and super exciting to be a part of, there were 8 other children who didn't stand up for themselves and say, I want to continue my studies, I don't want to be married. And so there are many other children here who are in need of a safe place. And so I'm excited about the opportunity that we have before us of building a girls' dorm and safe house where these kids can continue their education and we can rescue more and more girls from the highlands here in the Philippines. The staff here at Palmas are extremely dedicated to these kids, but they can only take in so many kids into their own houses. And so there's an urgency here to find a place where we can bring more kids to have a safe place where they can grow up. And so our search began looking for land. Where can we build a safe house to house more children from the mountains to protect them from being married off as kids?
We've spent 5 months praying about land, a place to be able to build this dorm. And we've worked and worked. In fact, right behind us here is about 3 hectares that people want to sell it to us. Price is right, but problems with paperwork, titles, and everything. So about a month ago, this totally fell through. And Child Impact kept calling, how's it going with the land? You know, we want to move forward with this, and so do we. And I had to tell them everything just collapsed, everything. There's nothing right now. And you know, within a week, we heard about some land for sale across the valley here, about 1,000 feet actually from our land, not that far. And our director, Dwayne Harris, was here at that time. Dwayne went and looked at this land. He told my wife and I, hey, he just was here for 1 day. And when he saw that land, he said, hey, go talk to the owners. And we were in the nearest city here, Puerto. So we went and found the owners, sat down with them. And you gotta know, we've been working with landowners here now on and off for like 10 years. And it's not been good experiences. But when I sat down with this homeowner, I was like, wow, this lady's different. She was always smiling. She had a title for the land. Sounds like that's a no-brainer, but that's kind of rare here. It's not 5 siblings. It's just hers, and she wants to sell it. And so they gave us a price, and we passed that on to Child Impact. And within a couple weeks, we made the down payment on the land. So we're excited. This is 6 hectares of land, about 15 acres of land, just not too far from us. High ground, which is kind of hard to find around here. Plenty of room for the dorm. There's plenty of room for not just agriculture, but also industry. And our senior high students actually who are going to be working this summer with us will be working on cleaning up that land, preparing as we work on the legal side of getting ready to start building the student dorm. So we are so excited.
So stage 1 of our plan to rescue more children here at Palmas is to build a beautiful girls' safe house. It'll be shaped kind of like a U, and not like an institutional setting, more like a home setting. Initially, it will provide rooms for up to 48 girls, staff housing, a cafeteria, a kitchen, laundry facilities, and it's perched up on the hill of this property overlooking the rice fields. And then across the rice fields is the Palmas base, where there's medical and aviation work happening, where the missionaries are stationed, and they'll be able to support the kids. Child Impact supports 5 jungle schools here in cooperation with Palmas, and each of these are literacy schools, and so they go up to grade 10. And we've identified that there's a great need for these kids to continue their education in 11th and 12th grades. And so the urgent need right now is for the girls to have a safe place, because every time that they go on school break, they're at risk of being married off, and we've got to get them a place where they can stay safe. And then we want to build a school for them to continue their studies in 11th and 12th grades here in the lowlands. We'd also like to build a boys' dorm so that they can also have opportunities to continue their education. And hopefully they won't be dropping out of school early, looking for a wife to take from one of their classmates before they're really at an age where they're ready to be married.
When I think about the dream that we have for these precious people that we're working at, actually I think of you and me right now. You and I are sitting here right now totally free. I have nobody forcing me to do this, forcing me to do that. I'm not a slave to any man by God's grace. I have freedom. And the people that we're working with, a lot of them have no freedom. The situations that our teachers tell us about, sometimes you want to plug your ears. It's hard to process how human beings can treat other human beings. And I dream of these children having freedom. The schools we've seen over the last 10 years, especially with the partnerships that we've entered into, like with Child Impact, we've been able to do more. And we are seeing that it is working. Now it's a small percentage. We only have 270 students. Next year, God willing, be more. But these students are learning about choices. They're learning about what it means to be able to exercise those choices. And it's being accepted in the communities. And this is a new thing. A lot of the students say, I didn't realize I had a choice. And a lot of times they haven't in the past, but there's been growth, there has been change. And we want to see these young people have the same freedom that you and I have. So that freedom that you and I often take for granted, the freedom that a lot of these young people have never tasted, they're beginning to experience it. We don't know what the future holds, but we're happy for the changes that we've seen. Child Impact, the investments that they've made has helped our educational system to grow. And as we look at this next year and start building on this dorm, as soon as we can secure the permits, and we already got the numbers of the students who are coming next year. We kind of know how many more are going to be coming, and we do need to get building soon. But as we also open up that safe house, we know this is going to continue to grow. So pray for us, and thank you for all that each one of you have done, either through prayer or through giving in different ways. I wish you could come and see what God is doing here.
The sad reality of the situation here is that every time these kids go on break from school, more and more of them are getting married off. And so we've got to get this safe house built as fast as possible to prevent more of them from going into this life, this cycle of exploitation and abuse. So we visited the land, and as soon as I got there, I could tell the Lord placed this property in our hands for a beautiful work. It's an incredible piece of property. And just walking the land with Sean, the director of Palmas, and the girls from the high school who will be benefited by it, I was just amazed at what God was doing here. The girls here in Palawan need your help. If you would like to support children here in the highlands of Palawan and prevent them from going into a life of slavery and exploitation as a child bride, I want to encourage you to go online to childimpact.org/donate and select Operation Child Rescue. Or you can call our office at 423-910-0667. Thank you, and may God bless you for your support for these children of Palawan.